On the bus heading to the college entrance exam venue, Su Ruanwan suddenly clutched her chest and burst into tears. I'm so nervous. I can't catch my breath. Can we not go to the test center just yet? As soon as she started crying, the whole class panicked. Platoon leader Guze immediately told the driver to pull over, then picked her up and rushed toward the nearest hospital. But there are only 40 minutes left until the exam starts. It was the same in my past life. I rushed over to stop them. She pulled out the pre-written emergency certificate template from the secret compartment in her backpack. I called her out for faking an illness in front of the whole class. Finally, the driver got the car moving again, and we made it to the test site just in time. However, Su Ruanwan was publicly reprimanded by the school for faking an illness, and her status as an outstanding graduate was revoked. On the day of the farewell dinner for our teacher, Guze lured me up to the rooftop, his gaze as cold as a knife. Ruan is just scared of the test. She just wants us to be there for her. Why did you have to expose her in front of everyone? Why make her a laughingstock? Before I could explain, he pushed me off the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the bus. Su Ruanwan's eyes were red-rimmed as she gently tugged at the hem of Guze's shirt. I feel so terrible. Am I going to die? Guze immediately stood up and shouted to the driver. Stop the car. Take Ruanswan to the hospital first. The whole class turned to look at me. After all, in my past life, I was the first one to rush out and say we couldn't stop. But I slowly put on my headphones and smiled. Let's park. She's about to die. What does the exam matter? Anyway, my acceptance letter is already at home. When I was 18, I was consistently ranked first in my grade in class 1 of the senior year. At our school, people like me aren't very popular, because I'm not much of a talker. I don't know how to act cute. And I don't try to act cute in front of my teachers, nor would I bring the whole class to sing for a classmate on their birthday. All I know how to do is solve problems, get top grades, and win competition awards. That's why people say I'm cold, that I'm too focused on results, and that I lack compassion. Su Ruan, however, was different. Although her grades were in the lower middle range, she was the class favorite. She would secretly hand out candy to everyone during morning reading and put little stickers on Guze's water cup. Whenever the teacher criticized her for not finishing her homework, she would say with tears in her eyes, "Teacher, I really tried my best last night, but I'm just too dumb." The teacher won't scold them anymore. Guys find it even harder to bring themselves to scold them, especially Guze. Guze is our class president, and he's also my childhood friend. Our families live in the same neighborhood, and we attended the same school from elementary school through high school. When he was a kid, his mom always used to say, Lin Tang is definitely going to go far. Guze, you should learn a lot from him. Guze really used to love tagging along with me. It wasn't until my sophomore year of high school that Su Ruanwan transferred into our class. She scored 36 on her first monthly math test and buried her face in her desk, crying. Guze spent the entire evening study session explaining things to her. Ever since then, the way he looks at me has changed. He used to say, Lin Tang, you're really amazing. Later, he said, Lin Tang, not everyone is as cold-hearted as you, caring only about grades. I didn't understand that in my past life. I thought misunderstandings between friends could be cleared up, and that childhood friends would always have some level of trust in each other. It wasn't until he pushed me down the stairs that I realized there are some people who have never made room for you in their hearts. No matter how much you explain, he'll just think you're making excuses. So in this lifetime, I won't explain it. The moment the bus came to a stop, the driver turned around to look at us. Classmates, are we really going to the hospital? The exam is about to start. Guze was so worried his eyes had turned red. Master, let's go to the hospital first. A person's life is more important. Su Ruan leaned against his chest, her face pale, with tears hanging from her eyelashes. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have held everyone back. While she said she shouldn't be a burden, her hand was clutching Guze's sleeve tightly. The girls in the front row immediately felt sorry for him. Su Ruorin, don't say that your health is what matters most. Exactly. The college entrance exam happens every year. But you only get one life. Lin Tang. Say something, Grant. You usually the one with all the ideas. I took one earbud out. I told you. Pull over. The car fell silent for a second. It was as if no one had heard what was said. Gu Zhe frowned at me. What do you mean? I smiled. Exactly what it says. Su Ruanswan looks so serious. Of course she has to go to the hospital. Gu Zhe stared at me. He probably didn't expect me to be so cooperative. After all, at this point in my previous life, I would have already rushed over to grab his arm. My voice cracking with urgency. Gu Zhe, calm down. She's just putting on an act. Then the whole car exploded. Su Ruanwan cried even harder. Gu Zhe called me cold-hearted. I had no choice but to produce the evidence in front of everyone. At the time, I thought I was saving everyone. But in the end, no one thanked me. All they remember is that Su Ruanswan was crying pitifully, and that I made her look bad. All I remember is that if I hadn't exposed her, she wouldn't have been reported. She wouldn't have failed the exam, and nothing would have gone wrong. In this lifetime, I will make their happiness come true. The driver hesitated and said, but over at the school. Gu Zhe immediately said, I'll take full responsibility if anything goes wrong. I raised my hand and pointed my phone's camera at him. Class president. Say that again. Gu Zhe's expression darkened. Lin Tang, what are you taking pictures of? I said in a calm tone. We need to keep the evidence. You said you'd take responsibility. So it'll make things easier to explain to the driver and the school. Gu Zhe gritted his teeth. Are you out of your mind? Is this really the time to be arguing about who's to blame? I looked at him. That's right. The shuttle bus for the college entrance exam took a detour at the last minute. We're not going to quibble over who's to blame, so why quibble over our feelings? Someone in the back row was unhappy. Lin Tang, stop being so sarcastic. Su Ruorin's in this state. And you're still filming. It doesn't matter that you get good grades, we still have exams to take. I nodded. In that case, you can choose to continue on to the test center. Silence fell over the car once more. I held my phone up a little higher. We have two options right now. First, take Su Ruorin to the hospital. Second, take most of the students to the test site first, and then have a teacher or an ambulance handle Su Ruorin. I looked at Gu Zhe. Class president. You choose. Gu Zhe pulled Su Ruanswan close. I'll choose the hospital, I said. Okay. So is this your personal choice? Or are you speaking for the whole class? Gu Zhe was stumped by my question. Su Ruorin sobbed softly. Lin Tang. Please don't push A's so hard, as just worried about me. I looked at her. I didn't force him. I just asked him to make himself clear. Her eyes welled up with tears. Are you blaming me for holding everyone back on the exam? I laughed. No way. You're about to die, how could I possibly blame you? Su Ruanwan's soft sobbing faltered for a moment. Gu Zhe snapped. Lin Tang. I stopped smiling. What are you yelling about? Isn't she having chest tightness and trouble breathing? Aren't you afraid of scaring her by shouting so loudly? Someone in the car couldn't help but chuckle. Gu Zhe's expression grew even more grim. Just then, the grade-level director who had been riding in the bus finally managed to squeeze his way over. He was sitting in the front row just a moment ago, calling the test center, and when he heard us arguing, his face turned pale. What's going on? Who wants to take a detour to the hospital? Gu Zhe immediately said, Teacher, Su Ruanswan isn't feeling well, it's serious. The director looked at Su Ruanswan. Where does it hurt? Su Ruorin clutched her chest. Her voice so faint it sounded as if it might break at any moment. My chest feels tight. I can't catch my breath. And my hands are going numb. After all, the principal is a teacher, so he wouldn't dare to take a student's health lightly. He immediately dialed 120 and told the driver to pull over. But he didn't take everyone on the bus to the hospital. He said, the other students went to the test site in their own cars. while I accompanied Su Ruanswan as she waited for the ambulance. Guze immediately objected. No way. I can't leave Su Ruanswan alone. The director frowned. I'm with her, she's not alone. Su Ruan gently tugged at Guze. Zay. I'm scared. Guze immediately relented. Teacher, I'll stay too. The director looked at him. Guze, think this through. If you stay, you'll most likely miss the first exam. Guze replied without hesitation. I've made up my mind. After saying that, he glanced at me. As if waiting for me to stop him, I leaned back in my chair and put my headphones back on. Why should I stop him? Respect others' destinies. And let go of the urge to help them. This is the first lesson I learned after dying once. The driver restarted the car. Just as the train doors were about to close, Su Ruanswan suddenly looked up at me. There was something strange in her eyes, a mix of hurt, resentment, and a touch of panic. In her past life, I exposed her right then and there, so the whole mess that followed landed on my shoulders. When I didn't call her out this time, she actually panicked. Because what she really wanted wasn't to miss the college entrance exam. What she wanted was for everyone to revolve around her. She wanted Guze to feel sorry for her. She wanted the whole class to say, "Poor Su Ruanswan, we're here for you." It would be best if I stepped up and played the bad guy again. I coldly told her we couldn't stop and forced her into the exam room. Then she can cry, feel wronged, and accuse me of being heartless after the exam is over. But I insisted on parking, and I even let Guze choose for himself. The act of feigning illness suddenly became a reality and she paid the price. The car door closed. From the window, I saw Guze helping Su Ruanswan stand by the roadside, while the director was holding his cell phone. Sweating profusely with anxiety, the bus continued on toward the test site. The atmosphere in the car was strange. Someone whispered, "Is Guze really not taking the exam? I should still be able to make it. The ambulance is here, let them check me out. And if everything's okay, I'll just take a cab to the test center. But there's traffic right now. Surely nothing bad has happened to Su Ruanswan, has it?" The girl in the front row who had just yelled at me turned around and looked at me. "Lin Tang, did you know this was going to happen all along?" I looked up. "What do you know?" She choked on her words. "You didn't seem the least bit anxious just now." I asked. "Why should I be in a hurry? Everyone has to take the college entrance exam," I said. "That's why I let you guys choose and you all stay in the car." Her face turned pale. The boy next to him muttered. That's true, Guze wanted to stay on his own. The bus soon arrived at the test site. Our class was 10 minutes behind schedule, but we weren't late. When we got off the bus, the principal wasn't there. So the teacher leading us was replaced by a teacher from the class next door. As she urged us to get in line, she asked, "Where are Su Ruanswan and Guze?" No one spoke. I didn't say that either. Before the exam bell rang, I took my seat in the exam room. When the test was handed out, I looked at the familiar questions and my hand remained steady. I'm sure I did really well on the exam in my past life, too. But my life came to a standstill that summer when I was 18. This time, I'm going to outlive them all. After the first Chinese exam ended, the classroom was already in an uproar as I walked out of the exam room. Guze didn't make it, and neither did Su Ruanswan. Her so-called chest tightness was found to be nothing serious after she was taken to the hospital by an ambulance. The doctor said it might be due to excessive stress, or it could be caused by eating irritating candy, resulting in temporary discomfort. As for the emergency room certificate template in the inner pocket of her backpack, it had fallen out when the nurse took her ID card. The date has already been filled in above. In the class chat group, the principal sent a message. Su Ruan is currently in good health. Please rest assured and focus on your exams. Do not spread unverified information. No one dared to reply below, but it was already going viral in private messages. Someone sent me a photo of the hospital. In the photo, Su Ruan is sitting on a chair in the emergency room. Her face is no longer pale, but instead looks completely devastated. Guze stood nearby, clutching his admission ticket. His eyes red-rimmed. He must have finally realized he wouldn't make it in time. A score of 0 on the first Chinese exam is practically the end of the road for anyone taking the college entrance exam. Guze called me more than a dozen times at noon. But I didn't answer a single one. He sent another WeChat message. Lin Tang, are you doing this on purpose? You knew full well that Su Ruanswan might be nervous. So why didn't you stop me? Weren't you always the most level-headed? Why didn't you warn me? I laughed out loud as I read the message on my phone. So that's Guze's logic. If I stop him, I'm meddling. If I don't stop him, I'm deliberately harming him. He is never wrong. The ones who are wrong are those who don't act according to his wishes. I replied. Didn't you say that human life is important? He replied quickly. Stop being so sarcastic. Lin Tang, I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. You know full well how important the college entrance exam is to me. I typed. I know. That's why I recorded the whole thing. You said yourself that you'd thought it through. There was a moment of silence on Guze's end. It took him quite a while before he sent a message. Did you record that video just to set me up? I replied. It's to protect the driver, the teacher, and myself. As soon as I sent it, I blocked him. I finished the math test quickly this afternoon. It wasn't because the questions were easy. It was because my mind had finally settled. No one can push me off the 18th floor anymore. And no one can force me to take responsibility for their lives anymore. After the 2 days of the college entrance exam were over, the situation completely blew up. Su Ruanwan's parents were the first to rush to the school. Her mother sat outside the principal's office, crying, and patted her thigh as she shouted. My daughter was just too nervous. She's still a kid. Why can't the school let her take a makeup exam? The principal's face turned ashen. The college entrance exam isn't an exam organized by the school. So there's no such thing as a makeup exam. Su Ruanwan's father pointed at the grade-level director and shouted. Then why didn't you notice she wasn't feeling well sooner? Why didn't you arrange for a doctor to ride along? Why did you make my daughter miss the exam? The principal was so angry his hands were shaking. As soon as I realized she wasn't feeling well, I called 120 right away. There were still more than 40 test takers on the bus. I couldn't let everyone go to the hospital with her. Sue's mother cried even louder. What about Guze? He missed out too. You've ruined both of these children. Guze's parents came. Too. Mrs.Gu, who usually cares so much about saving face, had swollen eyes this time. As soon as she walked into the office, she asked Guze, "What's going on? Why didn't you take the exam?" Guze kept his head down and didn't say a word. Su Ruan sat in the corner crying. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Auntie, please don't blame Aziz, he was just worried about me. When Mrs.Gu heard this, her expression grew even more grim. She used to like Su Ruanswan, too. She thought the little girl was sweet-talking, well-behaved, and cute. But now that her son got a 0 on his Chinese test, it doesn't matter how cute he is. Gu's mother asked Su Ruanswan coldly, "Since you know you'll be a burden to him, why won't you let him go?" Upon hearing this, Su Ruan's face went pale. Guze immediately stepped in front of her. "Mom, don't talk to Ruanswan like that." Gu's mother laughed in exasperation. "If I'm not talking about her, then who am I talking about? You. You're 18, not 8. On the day of the college entrance exam, when others were having chest pains, there were teachers and ambulances there. But you insisted on staying behind. What kind of hero are you trying to be?" Gu Zeong said with tears in his eyes. "I can't leave her behind." Gu's mother slapped him across the face, with a loud snap. The entire office fell silent. "Then don't take the test." Su Ruan flinched in fright. "I was packing up my books in the classroom when the principal asked me to come see him. I know they'll come after me, because Guze is bound to pin the blame on me." Sure enough, as soon as I walked into the office, Guze looked up at me. That look in his eyes was exactly the same as the one he'd given me on the rooftop in my past life, somber and resentful, as if I owed him my life. "Lin Tang, do you dare say you didn't do it on purpose?" I stood in the doorway, What did I do on purpose? Gu Zhe gritted his teeth. You know full well that Su Ruanswan is just nervous, not actually on her deathbed. Why didn't you stop me? As I looked at him, it suddenly struck me as absurd. In a past life, Qi asked me, why do you always stick your nose into other people's business? In this life, Qi asked me, why didn't you do anything? I said, Gu Zhe, do you even realize what you're saying? Gu Zhe was so angry that he rushed over to grab me. The principal immediately slammed his fist on the table. Gu Zhe, calm down. I stepped aside and set my phone on the table. I have a video here. When I heard that, everyone in the office turned to look at me. I clicked on the video from the day of the college entrance exam. In the scene, Su Ruoren cries, saying she can't breathe. Gu Zhe stands up and yells for the car to stop. While the driver reminds them that the exam is about to start, Gu Zhe said, if anything goes wrong, I'll take responsibility. I asked, is this your personal choice, or do you speak for the whole class? Gu Zhe said, I'll choose the hospital. The director reminded Gu Zhe, stay here, or you'll probably miss the first exam. Gu Zhe said, I've thought it through. When the video ended, no one spoke. Gu's mother watched as Gu Zhe's face grew paler and paler. Mr. and Mrs. no longer had the same air of authority they had a moment ago. I put my phone away. That's the truth. Gu Zhe stared intently at me. Why did you record that? I replied, because I'm afraid of dying. As soon as those words were spoken, everyone in the office was taken aback. I didn't explain. I'm definitely afraid of dying. People who have died once know better than anyone how important it is to be alive. But Gu Zhe seemed to take offense. Why are you playing the victim? No one's trying to kill you. I smiled. Is that so? Of course he couldn't understand. I don't need him to understand either. I looked at the principal. If the school wants to investigate, I'll cooperate. I can provide the video to the teacher, but I won't accept anyone trying to pin the blame for Gu Zhe and Su Ruanswan missing the exam on me. The principal nodded. Of course. Su Ruanwan suddenly stood up, crying, Lin Tang, I know you hate me, but you can't do this. I looked at her and asked, what's wrong with me? Tears streamed down her face. You could have warned me, and you could have warned A's, too. You're such a good student, and you're so smart, you must have realized I was just too scared. I asked, so what? She choked up. So why did you just stand by and watch us miss the exam? I said calmly, because I'm not your mom. Someone in the office couldn't help but cough. Su Ruanwan blushed bright red. I continued, it's your business if you're afraid of exams. It's your business if you pretend to be sick. And it's Gu Zhe's business if he's willing to stay with you. It's a favor of mine to remind you, but it's my right not to. Su Ruanwan. Just because you're used to using others as stepping stones doesn't mean you should actually think the whole world owes you something. Her face turned pale, and she couldn't say a word. Gu Zhe snapped. Lin Tang. I turned to look at him. And you, too. You're the last person who has any right to blame me. You're the class president, with more than 40 classmates on the bus. Your first thought wasn't how to make sure most of them got to the exam hall on time, but to cuddle up with Su Ruanswan and act all lovey-dovey. Your teacher warned you. The driver warned you. And I asked you if you wanted to think it over. You chose this path yourself. And now that it hurts, you blame me for not dragging you back. My words made Gu Zhe turn pale. Gu's mother suddenly covered her face and began to cry. She was crying very quietly. She wasn't feeling sorry for Su Ruanswan. She had finally realized that the son she was so proud of had ruined his own life on the most important day of his life. The school finally announced its decision. Su Ruoren's act of feigning illness on the day of the college entrance exam was recorded as a disciplinary offense at school, and her eligibility to be nominated as an outstanding graduate was revoked. As class president, Gu Zhe lost his composure while escorting students to the exam site and, without authorization, demanded that the vehicle take a detour, causing a serious negative impact. As a result, he was stripped of his title as outstanding class officer and disqualified from serving as a student representative at the graduation ceremony. But none of that is the worst part. The worst part is their college entrance exam scores. Gu Zhe missed the Chinese exam, causing his total score to plummet. It was the same for Su Ruoren. Her grades were already just average, and with one less course, even getting into a regular vocational college was in jeopardy. On the day the grades came out, my mom was cutting up fruit in the kitchen. My phone beeped once, so I tapped to open the score page. My score was very high. High enough that even if I didn't get a direct admission spot, I could still attend the very best schools. My mom looked at the screen, and her eyes suddenly welled up with tears. Lin Tang, you've really made me proud. I gave her a hug. At this time in her past life, she was very happy, too. Later, when she heard the news that I had fallen from a building, she fainted on the spot. My dad's hair turned white overnight. I'm their only daughter. After I died, they went to Gu Zhe to demand an explanation. Gu Zhe, however, said it was my own fault. Su Ruoren said through her tears, "Uncle and Auntie, please don't blame Azhi, he's suffering too." Back then, everyone said, Lin Tang is dead. But those of us who are still alive must go on living. In this life, I'll make them taste what it's like to be hounded by the living for what they owe. After the grades were released, some people in the class chat group posted their scores. At first, the atmosphere was pretty normal, until someone asked, "Has the class monitor checked yet?" The group chat fell silent in an instant. A few minutes later, Gu Zhe sent a screenshot of his grade. She was probably trying to appear open and honest. But as soon as the screenshot appeared, everyone fell silent. Chinese language, 0. His total score was more than 100 points lower than usual. Based on his original grades, he could have gotten into a key high school at the very least. Right now, I can only attend an ordinary private undergraduate school, where tuition is expensive and the programs aren't very good. Su Ruoren didn't post her scores, but some people heard from the teacher that her total score was ridiculously low. That evening, Su Ruoren posted something on her moments. "If I could live my life over, I definitely wouldn't be so timid. I'm sorry to everyone I've let down." The accompanying photo shows an 4 drip at a hospital. Quite a few people below tried to comfort her. "Don't be sad, Ruanyin, you didn't mean to. Your health is the most important thing. I'll retake the exam next year." After I finished reading it, I immediately posted a picture in our class chat group. This is a hospital test report. The diagnosis indicates no obvious abnormalities. And as for that photo of the emergency room certificate template, I didn't add any text to it. The group chat went wild. What is this? Emergency room certificate template. The date is already filled in, so she had already planned to fake being sick. No way, so the whole class almost missed the exam because of her. Is Gu Zhe an idiot? Su Ruoren immediately sent me a private message. "Lin Tang, why are you doing this? I'm already suffering enough for you trying to drive me to my death." I replied, "Didn't you prepare this yourself?" She sent a string of crying emojis. "I'm just scared of the exam. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." I typed, "You didn't mean to hurt anyone. You just wanted others to pay for your fear." She didn't reply. Before long, Gu Zhe called. I answered it. His voice was hoarse. "Lin Tang, delete it." "Delete what?" "The photos in the group chat." "Why?" He took a deep breath. Su Ruoren is very emotionally unstable right now. Do you really have to push her to the brink? I laughed. "Gu Zhe, have you forgotten? You were the one who stayed with her when she missed the exam, not me. You know she didn't mean to." "I don't know, Lin Tang." He started yelling at me in that tone again, as if I were still the person I was in a past life, someone who would let years of affection soften my heart. I interrupted him. "Gu Zhe, do you really hate me right now?" There was silence on the other end of the line. I continued. "You hate me for not stopping you. Hate me for recording the video. And hate me for posting the truth. But have you ever stopped to think that if it weren't for this evidence, I'd be the one getting berated by all of you right now?" Gu Zhe's breathing grew heavier. "I won't let them talk trash about you." I almost laughed out loud. "You would. In a past life, Not only did you let them insult me, but you also killed me. Gu Zhe held back his anger. Lin Tang, you've changed. I said. Yeah. If you were pushed down the stairs once, anyone would change. Gu Zhe froze. What did you say? I hung up the phone. There's no need to scare him right now, the best is yet to come. I went to the farewell dinner for our teacher that day. I died on this very day in my past life. So this time around, I made sure to wear a pair of shoes that are comfortable for walking. And I also brought a voice recorder and a personal alarm. My parents were worried, so they drove me to the hotel themselves. My mom took my hand and said, if you're not feeling well, come out early, don't push yourself. I nodded. Mom, I understand. I didn't tell them about my past life. No one would believe me if I said something like that. They'd just worry that I'm under too much pressure. But I'll take care of myself. The banquet hall was bustling with activity. Those who did well on the exam are full of confidence, while those who did poorly put on a brave face. Gu Zhe was sitting in the corner. In just a few days, he seemed like a completely different person. He used to always look neat and presentable. Even the zipper on his school uniform was always zipped up just right. Now his hair is a mess, and his eyes are bloodshot. Su Ruren sat next to him, her eyes red. As soon as she saw me, she lowered her head. A few girls had been gathered around her, chatting, but when they saw me come in, they stopped talking. I found a seat near the door and sat down. The homeroom teacher came over to offer me a drink, and as he looked at me, he sighed. Lin Tang, you have a bright future ahead of you, didn't let these things get you down. I said. No. Thank you, teacher. The homeroom teacher nodded. That's good. Halfway through the banquet, Gu Zhe walked over, holding a glass. There was juice in his glass, but he looked like he was drunk. Lin Tang, let's talk. I looked up. Let's talk right here. He lowered his voice. Do you really have to be so guarded around me? I looked at him and said, you're worth me being on my guard against. Gu Zhe's expression stiffened. He gripped his cup tightly and didn't speak for a few seconds before saying, my mom told me to repeat the year. I said in a flat tone. That's fine. Su Ruren is also repeating the year. I wish you success. He stared at me. Don't you have anything else to say to me? I thought for a moment. Yes. A glimmer of anticipation flashed in his eyes. I said, stop bothering me. Gu Zhe's expression darkened completely. Lin Tang, we've known each other for over a decade. So what? So you really want to become my enemy over this? I laughed. Gu Zhe, you were the one who treated me like an enemy first. He frowned. When did I? On the day of the college entrance exam, you chose to stay behind on your own. And your first reaction afterward was to ask me why I hadn't stopped you. When the results came out, you didn't reflect on your own actions. And then you asked me to delete the evidence. You're not standing here to apologize. You're here because you want me to give you a way out. I looked at him. You don't regret hurting me, you just regret that I'm no longer cleaning up your messes. Gu Zhe's expression turned extremely grim. You're being really harsh right now. I nodded. You'll get used to it eventually. He was about to say something else when Su Ruan walked over. With tears in her eyes, she spoke softly, but loud enough for those around her to hear. Lin Tang, don't blame A's. Here it comes. It was the same in my past life. She never tackles problems hidden. She only ever casts herself as the victim and lets others do the heavy lifting for her. Su Ruren choked back tears and said, I've been in so much pain lately. I know you hate me. But I never meant to hurt you. I asked, what have you done to me? She paused for a moment. I looked around. Let me get this straight. Are you saying you prepared a template for an emergency room certificate in advance? Planning to fake an illness on the day of the college entrance exam to sabotage me? The area fell silent in an instant. Su Ruren's face turned pale. That's not what I meant. I continued. So what do you mean? I just wanted to apologize to you. I said. Sure. Go ahead. Tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry. I waited a few seconds. That's it. She bit her lip. What else do you want? I said. If you're going to apologize, you need to be clear. Why are you apologizing? What did you do wrong? And how will you make things right in the future? Didn't your elementary school teacher teach you that? Someone nearby was looking down, trying not to laugh. Su Wanwan's face alternated between red and pale. Gu Zai couldn't hold back any longer. Lin Tang, don't take this too far. I picked up my phone. Should I go live? Let everyone decide who's in the wrong. Gu Zai's expression changed. What he feared most right now was evidence. Su Ruorin was scared, too. She wiped away her tears, her voice trembling. I was wrong. I shouldn't have pretended to be sick just because I was afraid of the exam. I shouldn't have made everyone worry, and I shouldn't have affected A's. I asked her, what else? She gritted her teeth. I shouldn't have prepared the emergency room certificate in advance. What else? She finally couldn't cry anymore. Lin Tang, what exactly do you want me to say? I stood up and looked at her. You said you knew from the very beginning that you'd be all right. Tell him you know Gu Zai will definitely stay for you. You said you enjoy having people revolve around you. You said that if the whole class hadn't gone into the exam room that day, you would have cried and said you didn't mean to. Su Ruorin trembled all over. No. It's not like that. I took out my phone and played a recording. This is a recording of her talking to her best friend in the bathroom the day before her college entrance exams. I didn't use it in my past life, so I've kept it until now in this one. Su Wanwan's soft voice came through clearly on the recording. I really don't want to take the test anymore. I'm not going to do well anyway. If I weren't feeling well on the day of the exam, Gu Zai would definitely stay with me. Lin Tang is definitely going to pretend to be all high and mighty and yell at me again, and then everyone will think she's cold-hearted. It'd be best if the bus were late. After all, the law doesn't punish everyone, right? The school can't very well keep our whole class from going to school, can it? When the recording ended, the banquet hall fell deathly silent. All the color drained from Su Ruorin's face. Gu Zai froze as well. He slowly turned his head to look at Su Ruonswan. Is this true? Su Ruorin shook her head frantically. No. A's. Let me explain. I was just saying that off the cuff. I didn't think it would actually. Gu Zai's eyes gradually turned red. This time, it wasn't heartachite with sheer rage. Are you saying Lin Tang would pretend to be sober and yell at you? Are you saying I'll definitely go with you? What do you take me for? Su Ruorin, crying, reached out to take his hand. A's. I didn't do it. I was just so scared. Gu Zai shoved her away. Using a great deal of force, Su Ruorin lost her balance, bumped into a chair, and cried out in pain. At this time in the past, the whole class would have already gathered around. But this time, not a single person moved. Someone said coldly, so the whole class almost went to their deaths with you. Su Wanwan. You're so gross. And to think I even tried to comfort you. Gu Zai deserves of let love cloud his judgment and ended up hurting both himself and others. When Gu Zai heard that last sentence, his face turned even paler. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw panic in his eyes. Lin Tang, why didn't you bring out this recording sooner? I said calmly. If I'd taken it out earlier, would you have believed me? He opened his mouth but didn't say anything. Since the answer is obvious, he won't believe it. In my past life, I showed him the mint candies, the template, and all the evidence, but he still didn't believe me. He just felt that I had embarrassed Su Ruonswan. In this lifetime, I'm in no hurry to make him believe me. I'm going to let him fall on his own. And then he'll see who dug the hole beneath his feet. The farewell dinner for the teacher ended on a sour note. Su Ruorin was still crying when her parents took her away. But this time, no one felt sorry for her. Gu Zai stood at the hotel entrance, feeling as if he'd been drained of all energy. Just as I was about to leave, he called out to me. Lin Tang. I stopped. He said in a very low voice. I'm sorry. I looked at him. I never heard those words of apology in my past life. Not even until the day I died. But even if I did hear it, it didn't really affect me. I said, "It's okay." A spark flashed in Guzé's eyes. A second later, I added, "I'm not going to forgive you anyway." His face turned pale again. Lin Tang. I didn't know she was that kind of person. I said, "You don't know because you don't want to know, Guzé. It's not Su Wanswan you like, it's the version of yourself that she needs. You enjoy being the hero. Enjoy her looking up at you and calling you A's. And enjoy the whole class praising you for being kind and responsible. That's why you can't see the truth. And you can't hear what others are saying." Guzé's lips twitched. "What about us?" I almost thought I'd heard wrong. "What do you mean, us?" With tears in his eyes, he said, "We've known each other for so many years, do you really not care at all anymore?" As I looked at him, I suddenly thought back to my childhood. Back then, Guzé wasn't always so bad. He would call out to the teacher for me when I was cornered by upperclassmen. He would lend me his extra pencils. On rainy days, he'd tilt the umbrella toward me. That's why I was so stupid in my past life, stupid enough to think that a childhood friend would always mean a little more than anyone else. But people change, and feelings can fade. Just throw away anything that's gone bad. I said, "Guzé, the bond we've shared for over a decade was shattered the moment you pushed me away." He froze. "When did I push you away?" I didn't answer. In the distance, my dad's car was parked by the side of the road. My mom rolled down the window and called out to me, "Lin Tang, sweetie, let's go home." I turned and walked away. Guzé tried to catch up, so I pressed the alarm button. A sharp voice rang out suddenly, and the hotel security guard immediately looked over. Guzé froze in place, his face turning crimson. I turned to look at him. "Don't come near me." He stood there, never moving again. On the way home, my mom asked me, "Did you work things out?" I looked out the window. Half the problem is solved. The rest is up to time. Su Wanruan and Guzé both decided to retake the college entrance exam, but their year of retaking the exams turned out to be much harder than they had imagined. Su Wanwan's reputation was ruined. It turned out that the class darling image she'd enjoyed had been completely shattered. People used to say she was innocent, but now they say she's manipulative. In the past, whenever she cried, everyone would hand her tissues. Now that she's crying, everyone is taking a detour. Some people at the review school knew about her situation, too. At first, it was passed around among the students in our class, and then it spread further and further, although the account is somewhat exaggerated. The core of the story is accurate. On the day of the college entrance exam, he pretended to be sick and had prepared an emergency room certificate in advance, causing the class president to miss the exam. Su Wanruan couldn't take it anymore, so she started posting on her moments again. "Why can't people make just one mistake? I've already paid the price, so why won't everyone just leave me alone? If I were to disappear, would that make you happy?" She was the same way in her past life with a single word: disappear. She shifted all the responsibility onto others, but this time, no one was going to go easy on her. Some people just took a screenshot and posted it in the group chat. I suggest you talk to a school counselor instead of using your social media feed to pressure your classmates. Did you pay the price? Isn't Guzé the one who skipped an exam? Adults must take responsibility for their own actions. Su Ruren broke down and ran to find Guzé. But Guzé no longer comforted her the way he used to. He was under a lot of pressure as a repeat student, and his mother watched over him almost every day to make sure he studied. His cell phone was confiscated. His social media apps were uninstalled, and his parents even picked him up from school themselves. Guzé wasn't a genius to begin with. His good grades the previous year were due to his solid foundation and steady mindset. It's different now whenever he takes a Chinese test. He thinks of that zero. As soon as I hear the sound of an ambulance, I'm reminded of myself standing by the roadside on the day of the college entrance exam. He began to suffer from insomnia and became irritable. When Su Ruren came to him in tears, he finally snapped. "Can you please stop crying?" Su Wanwan froze. A's. Guzé stared at her coldly. It was because I listened to you crying that I ended up in this mess. Someone recorded that statement, and the video was shared in our old class chat group. Someone spoke up. Better late than never. I didn't leave a review when I saw it. Whether Guze is conscious or not has nothing to do with me. I've started a new life. On the first day of college, my parents took me to school. The campus is large. The trees are lush. And the air is fresh. I stood outside my dorm building watching people come and go. And suddenly it all felt unreal. In my past life, I never had the chance to come this far. Now I'm standing here, holding my acceptance letter. With my loving parents by my side, I finally feel like my life has started over. During the second semester of my freshman year, Guze came to see me once. That day, I had just come out of the library. He stood at the school gate. He had lost a lot of weight. The security guard stopped him and wouldn't let him in. As soon as he saw me, he called out, "Lin Tang." I furrowed my brow. He raised his hand. "I won't come near you, I'll just say a few words." I walked over to the security guard, keeping my distance. "Speak up." Guze looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. I didn't do well on the exam. I didn't respond. He gave a wry smile. After repeating the year, I did even worse than last year. That's no surprise. Once you fall into certain pits, hard work alone won't get you out right away. Especially someone like him, who has been blaming others for his failures for so long. Guze said quietly, "My mom told me to go to a private school. She said we can afford it. But I know she's disappointed." Su Ruren didn't do well on her exams either. She dropped out later, and I heard she went to a vocational school in another city. I said, "Did you come all this way just to tell me this?" He shook his head. He looked at me, his voice hoarse. "I want to ask you something. You said that day at the hotel that our relationship of more than a decade was over the moment I pushed you away. When exactly have I ever pushed you away?" I was silent for a few seconds. I hadn't intended to say anything, but seeing him like this, I figured it would be best to just say it. There are some debts he should be aware of. I asked him, "Do you believe people get a second chance?" Guze froze. I said, "On the day of the college entrance exam in my past life, I stopped you and saved the whole class. I called out Su Ruanswan for faking an illness, and you all made it to the exam room on time. Later, she was reported, failed the exam, and got into trouble. On the day of the farewell dinner for our teacher, you tricked me into going up to the rooftop." Guze's face grew paler and paler. I continued, "You said Su Ruanswan is just a little girl who never grows up. You know, if I hadn't meddled, she wouldn't have ended up like that. And then you pushed me off the 18th floor." Guze took a step back. "That's impossible." I looked at him and said, "Of course you can choose not to believe it, but in any case, you won't have a chance in this lifetime." His lips trembled. "Lin Tang, I won't kill you." I laughed. "That's how you saw yourself in your past life, too, wasn't it?" Guze froze. And I didn't say anything else. Just as he turned to walk through the school gate, Guze suddenly called out from behind him, "I'm sorry." His voice was so loud that it drew the attention of passers-by. "Lin Tang, I'm sorry." I didn't look back. The primary purpose of a belated apology is not to secure the victim's forgiveness. It's to let the perpetrator know that he'll always be in debt. After that, I didn't hear anything about Guze and Su Ruanswan for a long time. That was until the reunion with my old classmates during my junior year. I didn't really want to go, but my homeroom teacher was there. He's always been nice to me, so I went and sat there for a while. Everyone had changed a lot at the party. Some are pursuing graduate studies. Some are doing internships. And some have already started their own businesses. The college entrance exam controversy from back then has become a topic that can no longer be discussed lightly. But after a few rounds of drinks, someone still let something slip. "Classmate A, do you guys remember Su Ruanswan? She got married a while back." Someone asked in surprise. "This early?" Classmate A, "Well, she married an ordinary guy. I heard she's having a really hard time in her marriage and cries every day. Classmate B. Where's Guze? Classmate A. Guze. I heard he's still looking for a job. No good companies will hire him. Classmate C. Is he still in touch with Su Ruanyen? Classmate A. They broke up a long time ago. Guze's mom hates Su Ruanswan to death. Everyone exchanged a few words of sympathy, then quickly moved on to other topics. I looked down to take a sip of water, feeling completely at peace. Whether they're doing well or not isn't the focus of my life. At the end of the party, the homeroom teacher walked me to the door. He looked at me and smiled. Lin Tang. You're in great shape right now. I said. Is that so? He smiled and said. That's right. You used to be so tense, as if you were always ready to take on everyone else's problems. It's different now. I laughed too. Maybe I've come to terms with it. The homeroom teacher asked. What did you figure out? I said. Not everyone is worth saving. The homeroom teacher paused for a moment, then nodded. That's true. On my way home that night, I received a call from an unknown number. I didn't want to answer it at first, but that number called 3 times in a row. I answered the phone anyway, and Guze's voice came through on the other end. His voice was lower and more weary than it had been a few years ago. Lin Tang. It's me. I didn't say anything. He seemed afraid I would hang up, so he hurriedly said, I didn't mean anything by it. I just heard you were back and wanted to ask how you've been. I said, that's great. He was silent for a moment. That's good. It was quiet on the phone. After a long time, he said, I've been dreaming about what you said for the past few years. I dreamed of the rooftop. I dreamed you fell, but I clearly haven't been through that. I said calmly. That's your comeuppance. His breath caught in his throat. I continued. Guze, don't call me anymore. It's been over between us for a long time. This time, he didn't make a fuss. He just said softly, I'm sorry. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. Then I opened the window, and the night breeze blew in. The living room was bathed in warm light. My dad was washing fruit in the kitchen, and my mom was watching a TV show on the couch. They're still here, and so am if it's enough. In my past life, I placed too much faith in Watcholb. I'm at the top of my class, so I should stay calm. I've known Guze since we were kids, so I should remind him. I'm the most level-headed person in the class, so I should step up and save the whole class. But no one ever told me that saving someone's life depends on whether they're worth it. They treat my clarity as a tool and my goodwill as an obligation. If anything goes wrong, just stab me with the knife. In this lifetime, I've done only one thing. I'll leave the decision up to them. If Su Ruren wants to pretend to be sick, then she should go to the hospital. If Guze wants to be a hero, then he should stay. If you want to take the exam, go into the exam room. Everyone is responsible for their own choices and must bear the consequences. That's fair.